States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. So just a couple of quick updates. I know that you had asked me for a couple of things via email. You have the agendas. The next packet that I have, I made you 10 copies of 2 different town meeting minutes and reports. This is the original road committee back in 1972, and then towards the end, you'll see the road committee vote back in 2002, which is what I think you're looking for.
Yes.
But I wanted to let you know that I did speak to Maine Municipal yesterday regarding the conversation. I don't know if everybody else knows, but Leslie and I had a conversation about reaching out to Maine Municipal to find out if the board could in fact dissolve any previous road committee and create a new one, starting with a new town meeting. And after speaking to Sue Pilgrim, when we reviewed some of these, she said that they absolutely could go either way and it could be defended either way. When we referenced the 2002 vote, it says on here that there would be 1 member from the planning board, 1 member from the comp plan. So it was clear that Acton wasn't following the last ordinance from '02 anyways. But she also pointed out that it doesn't do any harm to let the current members that are elected, have their terms out. We just have to adjust the ordinance. So she recommended reaching out to the local attorney and finding out which direction the selectmen wanted to go through, but she thought either way could be defended. With that being said, I reached out to the selectmen. I only speak to them individually, so they didn't make a decision, but I can tell you what they all said individually. None of them had any concerns with just me rewriting that portion of the organizational so that any current elected member would stay on. It's just going to need to be some changing to that word.
Okay.
But they were fine with that. They would have to take an actual vote on that Tuesday, so I don't have it ready for you tonight because it wasn't an official,
Okay.
it was individual calls. So that's good news. That gets back to, once I explain to them their options, they're fine with leaving them on there. So I will work on putting that together and having a proof on Tuesday.
But just for a point too, I mean, in following, and looking at that, if you ever have to have a planning board member, my term is not expiring. I am on the planning board, so that one criteria.
Right, but I think I
There.
think the O2 said that someone appointed and voted by the planning board, which I
Okay.
don't think that ever happened.
Okay.
But there's a lot of things on there that they just didn't, over the years, they just stopped kind of following it. But nevertheless, if we can agree on a clean ordinance and move forward with it, then, it's going to benefit everybody because, like I said, once you read through these old documents, you're going to see that they're not following that anyway. So I will work on pulling out, I got to figure out whose term's coming due, who's got what years left, change the organizational, put a disclosure in there saying that, with the exception of Billy, Bobby, and John, who expired this time. So I should have that ready by Tuesday.
Okay,
Um,
thank you.
You're welcome. As far as the road commissioner, scared me. As far as the road commissioner, one, we've sent it over to, our attorney, to the town's attorney, to have him review all the statutes in it. And the other thing that one of the selectmen mentioned to me was, we're gonna put a comma and clarification that the road commissioners on the road committee are actual voting members, which we kind of interpreted, we knew that, but she mentioned it making clearer. So hopefully by Tuesday, I'll have updates on the statute one as well.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay?
Okay.
Do you want to pass these around?
First thing on the agenda is Tattle Street. Cindy, we have an application for Article 43 funds from them. We have an application for Article 43 funds from Tattle Street. Cindy and I went there yesterday and spent quite a bit of time driving down the road. I was really impressed with the condition of the road. Cindy, would you like to weigh in as to what?
Oh, it was a real good job on it. I can tell they're gonna come back and do some final work, a little bit on the edges, but nice and firm, easy ride. I wish my road looked like that about now, but he did a good job. That Chris Goodwin, or Jeff Goodwin.
Goodwin, okay,
From
yeah.
Shapley, yeah, we were impressed. Leslie went 30 miles an hour on the road.
Actually, it was a little
She was
higher
able
than
to,
that.
huh? Nice.
So I just could not stop myself from testing to see how good the road was. Anyway, so would anyone like to make a motion?
I move that we accept the Tattle Street application.
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Kim, I'll just send an email to you
Yep,
guys,
just,
so
yep,
you
just send it to
you
us.
have that,
And then Tuesday
um,
we'll,
hopefully you can address that on Tuesday, put that on your agenda. So,
yeah, I'm sure they're ready to get it.
Tattle Street doesn't wait too long, too much longer for their money.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't have to, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to get our annual letter out, I think it's by what? Next week. So we're kind of hoping we could tell all the, the association that we do have some funds.
Okay, well, at this point, it goes to the selectmen.
Yep.
And,
And that'd be Tuesday, we hope.
Tuesday night, yep.
And so Tuesday, we should know one way or the other?
Yeah,
Just so we can,
Yep.
just so we can let everybody know on the letter.
Kim, do you know the time frame on how long it would take Michelle to cut a check?
I don't, but I can't
That's
imagine.
not
Can't
important, it's
imagine
mostly
it.
just so we can tell everybody that, yeah, we got awarded the
Just, we,
grant.
all three of us, we'll have to, just get together on Tuesday and then see.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
good,
great.
if everything's been done, and
Okay.
you should be fine.
Great.
Okay, you're
Okay.
welcome. So,
All right, 7th Street status. I got an email regarding
I think I saw that.
the 7th Street where they want to become a Class B road and have the town, and be accepted from the road. And apparently, I'm gonna give this over to Cindy because she is much more familiar with these than I am, so.
7th Street did a lot of work. They did a beautiful job in their road and huge improvements. But what they couldn't change is our own road ordinance. And that calls for a 34-foot fee simple interest in order for the town to take it over as a Class B road. It's right on the top of the ordinance, the description of fee simple. And they have just 20 feet. And so it can't be a Class B.
Okay.
This has been our problem with the road ordinance right along. Route 109 could not be a Class B road and act in the way this is written. And I feel that the ordinance should be looked at again or thrown out entirely for Class B. It's just an impossible standard. If we were in Kansas and we had huge tracts of land that we were just subdividing, maybe it would work. But it's too bad. These people worked really hard. And I know they leaned property, and I feel bad that we can't do that. But there is another way legally, and I think the selectmen should look at it. There are public easements, and that's something that we can do. By signing, the way Shapley did it is if 3/4 of the people on the street signed a public easement, they took over the roads. And when you've got a lot of people living on them, I think there's more than 20 houses on 7th Street, for crying out loud, any break we can give them, I'd like to.
I have on the agenda, RSMS update. Kim, do you know if there's any, or
Say
should
that
we
again.
table that until Elise is back?
Say it again. What was it?
The RSMS.
I would wait until Elise comes, just because she seems to have she's been going over stuff with me, but, because,
Okay. And also, too, Joe's not here. I understand he met with the HEB.
HEB, yeah.
And do you know what happened, or do
Not
we
yet,
need to,
no.
we need to hold off on that,
Yeah.
too?
yeah,
Okay.
because we need the report and stuff.
Is
So-
he going to be here tonight? Does anyone know?
I don't know, and I don't know if he knows yet either. I mean, I think we kind of have to wait for HEB to send us something, was my assumption, when we talked about it, so.
Okay. All right, I will, I'll send him an email and ask if he has any,
Yeah, because I
if he
mean,
can update us, and,
which would be nice, yeah.
okay.
All right. thank you.
All right. Now, we're down, the road committee and road commissioner ordinances, Jennifer
She explained.
explained.
Okay, good.
So, we're okay with that for the moment until we, what we're waiting on is the final draft. So we can look at it, and if there's, any changes that you're, putting in, I know that there was one sentence that needed to be cleaned up, I
Yeah.
think, on the road
Yeah, there
committee
was one we
one.
wanted to clean it
So,
up. And then there was a question about whether you had to be disband and then restart it up again. That
Right,
was
which-
your question,
yeah,
but we've got an
which
answer for
Jennifer,
that, so that's good. So,
gave us the
yeah.
answer to that.
All right, perfect.
So, I mean, if you could just make sure that when that final draft, or,
I'm hoping Tuesday
Okay.
we'll have it, but,
if you could make sure that we get that, so we can review it and make sure that
yep.
we're all on the same page with it.
He also has the RSMS book, the big printout, and if he could bring that in, so we
He-
get it back.
Joe?
Joe.
Okay,
Yeah, if you
Yep.
could bring that in,
Yes.
that would be good. It's our only copy.
we don't want to lose it.
The next thing we have on the agenda is the stream crossing grant applications. And this is going to be more of a workshop type thing, because what we need to do is go through the application, find out what we need to do, and how we're going to approach these. I think my first question, Dave, which ones were you recommending that we apply for in your district?
Well, we have the culvert on the H Road, which is north of the Sanborn Cemetery, or Schoolhouse Hill, as history calls it. That one there, which we did some research on. It does have an actual cement structural culvert under the main part of the road. Two galvanized pieces on each end. Inlet and outlet was added on years later. And that's where we're seeing the film, but eventually something's going to have to be done with that. Then we have the one on West Shore Drive, which, as we did research, we found out that was given to the town from Inland Fisheries and Wildlife when they put that culvert in and put the boat launch in. So it's the town's responsibility. So the state of Maine's washed their hands of it. We accepted it. Mr. Long remembers what year it was, but that must have been back.
98.
98 it was? Okay, so, which it does, we were over there that way the other day, there were people in there launching their boats and everything, so it does get used a lot.
It's easy that they can put boats
Yeah.
through
Through that little,
So, and that is something that's needs to be addressed sooner than later. There's, I can't even imagine how many homes that are in there now.
There's over 100, because I went down, I went and
Okay.
counted them.
Yep, there's over 100 homes, and it's a dead-end road. If we do have a structural failure on that, then we're gonna have issues, because years ago, when they put that in, the Pepin family put traffic through their pit, through private land, and now they've sold that section of it. There's a house there, so we have no way of getting around that piece of, that culvert.
If we needed
and
to, right?
everything. So, and I know there has been talk of, I know some developer on the Shapley side wants to connect it. We may never see that, but it would be a blessing. I mean, it was, because then if something did happen to us, we'd be able to come in from the Shapley side for fire rescue or even the commuter traffic, so, and everything, so, those two are the.
Those are the
big
critical
yeah,
ones on
yeah,
your side?
Yeah.
Elise, did you see the email from Elise? I'm just going to read this. She had sent it to me to bring with me tonight. She just wrote, "Hello, Road Committee and Commissioners." She recalled Joe mentioning something about the New Bridge Road culvert. I don't
Yes,
know,
yeah.
needing replacing, and she just wanted to know if we should add that to the other three on the article for this year's warrant. So,
Yeah. I
just
got-
wanted to know if we could discuss it.
Joyce, you want to go first?
Oh, no, that's okay. No, I just wanted to say, Dave, living on West Shore Drive, since the culvert went in, there is a very small subdivision going in. There are 3 homes for sale, lots and homes. for sale. The only way, one of them will be connected to Redgate Road. The other two will be connected to West Shore. The two on West Shore, there's no way they will be connected to Shapley. So there still won't be a way
Okay.
to have circular.
Isn't there like a brook or a stream? There's something, there's a reason why they,
Yeah, there's a brook and a stream, and it would cost a lot of money
Lot of
to
money,
do it.
yep.
And frankly, the West Shore residents, they had presented a petition here, don't particularly want to become an oval track, you know, shortcut from one side to the other, because as it is now, you know, you got to go down, what do you call it? Deer, what's the street West Shore's off of? My mind just
Goose
went blank.
Pond?
Goose Pond.
Goose
Goose
Pond,
Pond.
thank you. You got to go all the way to Goose Pond and over to 11. So, and then a couple miles down 11, beyond Boonies, then you come down into Square again. So there isn't going to be a way to get into Square from Shapley. So we can be an island unto ourselves.
So, I mean, so we do have pictures of that on West Shore Drive. We know that it's a galvanized culvert. The bottom of it is rotted out. And I don't know if we have anything in the archives of the actual as-built of what the state did with that. I don't know if the state would have those anywheres or something. I don't know if you two ladies and the people that you know from doing this over the years have any connections that we might be able to find what the as-bills are saying that. The PPF company, which is part of E.J. Prescott out of Gardner, Maine, if they had the as-bills of it, Reggie was saying that he could give us a very good idea what it would cost to slip line that and do what it needs. Saying that, I think as whoever is the road commissioner come July, seeing we know what that culvert's like in the road committee, we need to have a contingency plan. And as the deputy fire chief, when something goes and we lose that, and as you were just saying, they're gonna be doing some more building. We've got cement trucks going in there, you know, at 90,000 pounds, so on and so forth. Eventually something may happen, and if it does, we need to have a contingency plan, because as the deputy fire chief, I gotta be able to get my fire apparatus in there, and then we also need to get our ambulance in there. So whether it's, you know, I think maybe we should pursue a contingency plan. I mean, it's gonna be a feat to do this, because we've lost our access around that area that they had when they first put it in. You know, maybe it wouldn't hurt to call the DEP office in Portland and say, hey, this is what we've got. We need to plan ahead. We have over 100 homes in there. If something happens, we fill it in full of rocks and do what we need to do, and, you know, we're obligated. So I think maybe we would start with a contingency plan just in case something were to go astray, and we'd be able to put that action plan into motion if we needed to. So something to think about.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's way too many homes that would be
Exactly.
seriously affected by that.
Yeah, and, you know, there's other avenues. I'm not sure who owns the tote road up off the H road on the sharp turn on the back stairs. That lane, the LaValle family used to own that, if I remember right, and that used to go back down in there. We have some options, but our quickest option would be to fill that culvert in if we needed to, if we did have a structural collapse, and steel plate it and do what we need to do and then go from there, but,
And then we would lose the boat launch.
yeah.
Is there any other options for, if it happened during the summer, would people have boats in? Is there any other
Well,
options?
if they had boats in, then they could get off over on Treasure Island, over there with the, if we were to have a structural collapse on that culvert, that's when our mutual aid agreements come into play with the Shapley Fire Department, the town of Shapley, and everything, and if something like that would happen, and as we all know in the boat world, everybody's willing to help, and we could, if there was people out there that needed to get, we could find a place to get them back on dry land or something there, so, and everything. But, you know, something for us to think about. That one over there is the more critical one, because we have no way to get into it. Unlike the one on the H Road on Schoolhouse Hill, that's a preventive maintenance plan. We know eventually we're gonna have to do something, and with this grant application coming up and the summer money that's possibly there for us to do that, we need to just, get the ball rolling on that and do that there. I mean, that's the H Road is the north end highway to the north end of town, but we can go out other ways. But that there structurally is in good shape, it just needs repair, so.
You're still losing a lot of time, though, I mean.
Oh, yes,
you're-
yeah,
um,
and
Your
everything.
response times are gonna be
Oh, yes.
extended.
Yeah, and as we've done before, when we did the Balch Lake Dam, when we put the new box culvert in up the Balch there at the dam, I housed one of our fire engines up to our shop that was up there for 2 weeks, and me and my son William, we responded right from the farm with what we need to do on the north end of town with our mutual aid agreements from Newfield and Wakefield there. But we're able to come in from other areas, like I said, on West Shore Drive, so kind of gives you a little history on that. But I think we need to look at a contingency plan just in case if something were to happen, that we'd be ready to go. DEP may say, yeah, we do what you need to do, or you never know. The laws change all the time, so maybe we need to just touch base with them, or maybe have a representative come out and say, hey, what's your suggestion on emergency plan, action plan, and we go from there, so. Yeah.
Good idea.
To really, what Dave is saying is 100%. In fact, I wasn't frightened about being there until right now. Thanks, Dave.
Well, you know me, I like to be plan, so.
Yeah, I'm going to get my boat in the water now so I can go down to Treasure Island. Actually, the Square Pond Association, SPNEA, has been talking about this problem and looking at grants on their own to see if they could do something. This was a big part of last year's agenda. I think if you talked, I am not representing them here, know that. But if you talk to them, they have some people who are, our president, Rob, I can give you his name. He's very well aware of what's going on, and they can come up with some good support.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have it with me tonight. I didn't think of bringing it, but I have a copy of a letter from the state saying that it was, and this was dated 2018, that the culvert was in imminent danger of closure.
Mm-hmm.
That was a year ago
On West Shore?
on West Shore.
Because I looked at the federal sufficiency ratings from 2018, it was rated a 57.
Yeah, well, this was from the state, a letter from the
This is-
state,
all right.
so.
So,
And that inspection had been done in the winter, so I kind of wondered how
They couldn't see, I saw the pictures.
you saw those
They
pictures.
were unable to see, the water level was so high and the ice was up higher than where the break was in
Yeah.
the culvert.
Well, one of the things
It
that
looked a
you,
lot better in the winter than it does now.
yeah, one of the things you might want to keep in mind too, and Kim can probably give you more information, is they are talking about repairing the dam. Kim, do you remember what the dam that is? Emery Mills Dam?
Yes.
And the water level is going to have to be let go a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, they
like
say, oh,
really
there
right
won't be
now.
much thing. They're probably going to go 2 feet below the structure so they can repair what needs to be.
Yeah, they need to do some repairing.
Yes.
Underneath.
Underneath,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
the
yeah,
water's
at the
gonna be
Emery Mills
really
Dam,
low.
we have seepage
Yeah.
on the, out behind the,
But that might be a time when the water's very low, that working together
And that-
could be
that-
to your benefit.
Exactly. We might be able to sell this to the DEP with the DEP's help for a grant like that, because it's all dam lock system. So, because actually, we were over there on Square Pond last night there, and the water's very, very high, and that's what they said, well, they didn't open it, and that's why, so.
I'm gonna request Joyce, and then, and you also, Dave, if you want to write something up like that and email it to the committee.
Yeah.
Because whoever sits down and writes these grants, that'll be good information to have. Because when I spoke to John McLean at DEP, when we took the stream crossing class, he was saying that the state was frowning on slip lining for the reason that, putting a tube in is isn't good for the wildlife, for several different reasons. And they were trying to get away from that. However, if we can sell it, that, you know, with these type of reasonings,
Yeah.
we might be able to slide it through.
Yeah, but even, you know, that on West Shore Drive, slip line and that, which Reggie, he says that can be done. They've done it in New Hampshire, of course, Maine laws and New Hampshire laws, the states are a little different, but they're still guided through the federal government. But he says it is doable. They have done them and everything. But then again, the DEP or the state, they may look at that and West Shore, that was good technology back, you know, in the 80s. Hey, let's go to a box culvert, let's do something different, and kind of, maybe if we can sell it to them, kind of put the ball in their hand, let them do some of the, you know, they'll bring their engineers in and do whatever, and ideally would be to straighten that road out. It's because you're coming around, you're kind of going to the left, and you're kind of making a 90-degree turn to go up onto that. I mean, who knows? They may, this day and age with the regulations of road regulations, they may say, hey, we got to straighten this curve out, you know, and that it could be a win-win for everybody and stuff there. So, and then what I can do is we can meet up with Fire Chief Johnson, and we'll get a letter from him, and that way there, that'll cover us on the fire and rescue side of it, saying, hey, this is what we have, and we have no other way to get out there too. So if we really put our heads together and do our homework, we can probably be able to sell this, and hopefully.
Would he be willing to do that for
Oh, yes.
For H Road also, and as far as
Yes,
response
yep.
times?
Oh, yeah, that's.
I mean, because, I mean, if the more we can document,
Exactly. Yep.
the better our chances of being able to get these approved, the least expensive way, because, you know, we saw figures of how, of what some of the costs were with the box type and
Yep.
whatever, and it was significantly higher than.
Oh, very much so, you know.
Slip lining. Granted, the costs down the road were negligible for doing it the other way.
But they last 50 to 75 years.
I was going to say they'd last longer than the slip,
That's
right?
it, and you don't have the maintenance.
Yeah.
But I know one thing, they like the bottomless. They want it to be natural, they want it
I
as
mean,
wide
it's,
as your stream bed.
Yeah.
but if you look at the problems we have with our roads and our bridges in town right now, I mean, it's, we also have to be fiscally, I'll use the word responsible for lack of a better word, because we've got a lot of money that we're gonna have to outlay if one of those bridges go.
Mhm.
I mean, and then we're just talking culverts at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, we have the potential of having hundreds of thousands of dollars that the town's gonna have to come up with if something should happen.
The canal bridge will probably be closed shortly.
Yeah, I would, from the
If-
sounds of
If
it.
we don't do it, Wakefield will. It just isn't gonna handle.
Last I heard, now Wakefield was talking about just building around it as a temporary solution, but isn't that kind of a
I
waste of,
don't know.
I mean, that's, and
That would be my thought, it would be a
waste of money. Why, if we're going to do it, why wouldn't we do it instead of doing two different ones?
I don't think that they've got the full plan for it.
Okay,
But I mean, it's rough because it's a 400-car-a-day bridge.
right?
And also, the lake is very dependent where it's next to the boat launch.
I know.
And Newbridge would take a beating,
Yeah,
because all of the people over at VZ Point
Oh, I know, yeah.
are not gonna go to New Hampshire down Canal Road, they're gonna go down Newbridge over to 109.
Yep.
So, I mean, and that's just gonna beat that road up even more, and that's in poor shape.
That's, yeah, that one's in really bad shape.
Dave, I know that Joe's not here. Do you have any knowledge of culverts that we should think of, other than, I think Newbridge definitely. I mean,
Yeah,
I looked
that's-
at that last fall,
Mhm.
took pictures, and that culvert is undersized.
Yeah.
And
And like I said, that one, that on New Bridge Road, when I was when I stepped in last fall as the District 2 Road Commissioner, we went up, actually me and Cindy went up there one night and looked at it, and we did a little research, and Wilson Lake is stocked by Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. Horn Pond is stocked. We do have, there is some people of the area say there are native trout that come up through there. The state of Maine has a lot of interest in that. We have a very large loon population over there, which is kind of a blessing and stuff. So, I mean, that's it isn't just dig the road up and put a culvert in. I think same thing. We should check those avenues and see what what our options are. So,
And looking at the application.
is that something in the application where it talks about?
50% of the score is based on, they're especially looking to protect the trout.
Mhm.
And that's 50% of the score as to whether you get the grant or not.
Yeah.
And then just the quick perusal I did, Newbridge looked like probably the one that we have the best shot of getting the grant approved.
Yeah. Over in West Shore Drive, you could ask some local fishermen, but then you could make a call up to the state police barracks and have a game warden come down and say, what do you see around that boat launch? I would imagine there's some stuff that's spawning in there, and if we can show proof that if there's, all right, lady's saying that there's brown trout in that boat launch area, that's a plus there. They're native, and that's what they want in these lakes. They don't, and stuff there. So there's, we just need to have some information for them. And
Do you still have the application I printed out with you?
I have one.
You have one, Kim?
Yep.
Because I had one of mine, and I had one for Joe if he came, but he didn't, so. In going over the application, so it goes through the evaluation criteria, public infrastructure information. So the degree of urgency of the proposed project, and whether the culvert is at high risk of failure due to age, location within a watershed, or reach with a high flood risk or severe flood history. The environmental benefit is also a big score. The ability to demonstrate the extent to which there is a stated benefit to fish, including sea-run fish, native brook trout, Atlantic salmon, and wildlife. And then you need the cost and budget information. Pictures. And then it goes through the I haven't read the application in a couple of weeks. So basically, it's asking for the information, the municipality, the GPS location, watershed location, and that's all stuff that we can find pretty easily online. Has the culvert or crossing washed out, flooded, overtopped the road, or failed in the past 20 years due to storm events? So that's information we need.
The one on the H Road, yes, because Bernie Yetton put those railroad ties in 15 years ago. Yeah, or so. We lost on the, actually on the, we'll call it the southbound lane coming back towards the town hall. That was washed out, and they reset the bank using railroad ties, pinning them in vertical and horizontally to hold that. And even now, we're starting to have some washout. We noticed yesterday when we were pulling shoulders, so we're gonna have to do a little bit of maintenance, do some maintenance work on it. So yes, the question on that one there would be yes, yeah.
Current condition of the culvert?
From what we could tell by the cement, on the center of the road is in good shape, but it appears that there's probably 30 feet of galvanized culvert on each side.
30 feet?
I would say. William, is that what? Yeah, somewhere's around there. So the galvanized culverts, they extended the culvert with, is structurally failing. So it's actually, that's probably in the travel lane, on the shoulder or into the travel lane.
Yeah, those are the ones that,
You have
that I
the
took
pictures of,
pictures
yes.
of, yes.
Yeah, yeah, so we meet that criteria there, so, yeah.
Safety concerns,
That would be the fire chief.
You know, the thing is the safety concern, I mean, that does, we do have a beaver population in there, that culvert, they did dig them out last fall. There's quite a little pile of debris on the inlet, and they'll be back, and everything. And so that helps us with the wildlife. This is current safety concerns. And the concern would be that the inlet and the outlet of those galvanized culverts are in the travelway. Unless we were to camera it, or somebody were to venture up into that and actually see where that cement is. But I would say that cement is probably just in the center of the road, because they widened that road over the years. Because that whole road was moved. That was never there. They moved that back in 50s. Yeah, 54, 50, somewheres in around there. So they straightened that out and everything there. So yeah. So we meet that there. And how many years from now do you estimate the culvert crossing would likely have a complete failure? I would, by the looks of those pictures, it could be 1 year, it could be 3 years. You know, we don't know.
when I showed DEP, they said that, it appeared to be an imminent
Okay.
danger of failure.
Yeah, and especially if we could get a letter from them. And,
But this was I was speaking with John McLean, who was handling the RFPs.
yeah,
And he's very difficult to get in contact with now because the grant is open.
okay, yeah, he doesn't want to be flooded with calls.
He's not answering questions. Any questions that we have, he forwards to a committee that posts them online. And so everybody who wants to look at these
And
can see
yeah.
them.
So we'll just have to take the pictures we have and for both of those projects and send them out, and if West Shore Drive Association or the Square Pond Association has a copy of that letter, we can send that along
Right.
with that there too, so, so we're moving right along there, so.
Do you know if it's been inspected by the DOT?
That I do not know, either one of them. Cindy, have they,
Actually, well, West Shore has been, because they're, I saw it
West Shore
online.
has, but not the H Road. It's not considered large enough. We only have,
really? Yeah,
yeah, we have 10 bridges in town. 4 of them have some municipal responsibility, but they don't count that one. They don't count the one on the Sanborn Road either.
oh, really? Huh,
Well, they're not considered a bridge, are they? Are they just a
They're
culvert?
not, and they're not considered a large culvert either for some reason. They don't pass the criteria.
oh, okay.
You would think a railroad copy is a pretty large culvert, wouldn't you?
You'd think, yeah.
That's what the one is on the same.
Right, and then the impacts that would occur if the crossing were to fail, that's easy enough.
I mean, fire and police, public schools, if we were to, on either one of those, if we were to have a structural failure, in this day and age with the school bus company, they have a written plan of how that bus goes on the time, and it's just the generation in the world we live in, so we would really have to sit down with the school bus company and say, hey, this is what we've got, there's and never mind the impact of the children that ride that bus, happen to either go all the way, for the H Road, have to go all the way north, up into Shapley, and come back down through North Shapley that way, back and forth, and then their start time, so we definitely meet it there too, on both of those, actually. I'm not sure very many children.
No kids right now.
Oh, really? Yeah, yeah,
But there are actually 2 6-month-old little boys.
yeah, yeah.
We have more elderly people though, and they require
That's right.
a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
We do seem to be visited by the ambulance
Yes.
more than,
Okay.
but
Right, and then-
if the subdivision, if a house gets sold in Chapley, the only way those kids can get to school is the bus will have to come from Chapley, down Goose Pond, down West Shore, back into Chapley to pick them up.
Design and resiliency. That's something that we would need your expertise on.
Say that again.
Design and resiliency, we're in the environmental scoring criteria.
Okay.
So explain how the new culvert crossing has been sized appropriately for the watershed, and any watershed studies or hydrology studies that have been conducted, if any.
Okay. So, meeting with Reggie Conley, with his company, the division of PPF, which is, like I said, a division of E.J. Prescott out of Gardner, Maine. He would write up a plan. He did email us some stuff. It gives a flow chart, what the downsizing 1 or 2 inches, what, you know, it's all on a flow chart, and gives us gallons per minute and everything there, and he would write that up in their proposal of what we'd be looking for and everything there, so.
Okay. And then along with that goes addressing climate resiliency and condition of the stream bed through the crossing following construction. Describe the degree to which the new structure will contain a natural bottom. With the slip lining, is there any way to not have a smooth bottom?
He says on West Shore Drive they could do it without a bottom in it. William, you went with Reggie over there, right? He was,
They could do it openly, but he said how big the diameter, how big the culvert is, they can go very, very thin on that slip line if we were to do, I mean, like, he said, very minimum. That's how, the way they make the pipe and slide in there, would be very, just a little bit of plastic would be in that pipe.
Yeah, because what they're looking for is to have a natural bottom, so you have your, your rocks and
Yeah.
whatever, to-
but see, over in West Shore Drive, it has to have a natural bottom because of the boats, the way they design that.
That's true, too.
So that there. But the one on the H Road, that's just a regular, culvert. So, I mean, we're just using that for runoff. And I'm sure, I'm sure there are some spawning fish that, that's in the bog hole that go down through, because eventually that makes its way down onto, out into the swamp. It makes its way out, down towards the Goose Pond Road, out into that wet marshy area and everything there. So, back around onto the Nason Road, I would say. So, yeah, so that there, I mean, there's no gravel bottom in it now, so.
Okay. All right, so then it lists the fish, aquatic life and wildlife affected. I know that in my packet, there's some websites to look at as far as, what the state, where the state has rated different areas. So we need to look at that. Reasons the crossing or water body should be considered a priority for restoration, including any input from Maine DMR or Maine IF&W biologists. Do we have any contacts with them?
No.
biologist.
Fish and Wildlife. Inland
No,
Fish
but
and
we can
Wildlife.
give him a call.
Reach out to them, yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Want me to do that?
If you could do that, yeah. And any, Do you have your application at home? The copy I gave you?
Yeah,
All
probably.
right, so you can actually just look at the environmental scoring criteria.
Mm-hmm.
Dave would have to do this one, or Prescott, about the
Okay.
sizing. And this would be, so you would start here, actually, benefits to fish and wildlife.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll probably start with calling them
Yeah.
and seeing what, because they're obviously, we won't be the only one looking for this information.
No, I'm sure we won't be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you could look at that portion of it.
Okay, and
um,
we'll look at it for all three of them?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. And if you need help going to websites or whatever, let me know.
okay.
I'll help you with that. Reasons for the crossing should be considered a priority. Well, we could go on about that. Do we know of any invasive fish species in the project drainage? Are you aware of anything like that?
West Shore has green snails, Japanese green snails. We harvest them every year. We take pounds and pounds of them out and get rid of them. We have an invasive plant patrol that Spinia could give you a lot of information on whether it's plants. We have no milfoil of that. But,
Yeah, this is just looking for fish species.
well, what do you
The
call
snails, I think, would fall in that,
Yeah, doesn't hurt to, the more you can give them and let them decipher it.
so no milfoil, do you have invasive?
We-
Any invasive?
At this point, no. We have very good water. I'm gonna get the Spinia representative to call you guys directly.
Okay.
You don't need second-hand
Yep,
information.
oh, that's
Okay.
wonderful.
Mhm. Yeah, that'd be good.
But we have we actually have paid for divers. We've now bought our own air equipment for the divers, and we have these huge harvests where, the hundreds of pounds, and we try to get them when they're little tiny, to get them out and to break up the reproductive cycle, to get rid of them. So, and like, I'm on the invasive plant patrol, and everybody takes a piece of the lake. You can all canoe around it and see what's there. So,
Okay.
you know,
Okay. Is the culvert undersized? Well, we know that Newbridge is. Do you think the other two are undersized?
No, I wouldn't, the only time on the H Road that area is filled up is because of the beavers. But no, it's a 34-inch culvert, William, is that what he measured? In that email I sent you,
Right.
he measured it up
Yeah,
and stuff.
you're gonna they want to slip line it to
Yeah.
32, right?
Yeah, they might be able to do a 34, it's a 36, I believe, they could probably, he'd have to crawl in, they'd have to do some measuring and stuff in there, but it's all in email.
Right.
And then you could go to that chart and it'll give you what to, but, no, I would say that isn't undersized.
And I'll print out that information for
Yeah.
our next meeting,
Yeah,
so we'll all have that.
Yep.
All right. All right, and one of the things they're looking for is if the new culvert or crossing is at least 1.2 times the stream bank full width. Now, we know that the H Road and West Shore won't be, if we slip line them. Now, in looking at the one on Newbridge, what would you recommend that be done, or would you talk to to someone else to decide what's the best avenue to approach that one?
I said, say that again, the door was open.
On Newbridge,
Yep.
how would you go about approaching to repair or replace that culvert? Would you look at a stream, the stream crossing? Or would you think that we should go another route.
Yeah, I mean, we've, it's low in there, we know we have runoff, we know we have sediment runoff going most likely into Horn Pond, because just the way the road is and everything there. Ideally, it would be to build that up a little bit where that culvert is. It'd be nice to know how they, going back to Acton Ridge at Balch Dam, so that was just a big galvanized culvert, and then Shaw Brothers put a box culvert in there with the state. 4 years ago, I guess it was, and that's what they wanted. They wanted a natural bottom. They put rocks and everything. It was quite a little project. It would be nice to know how they came to, you know what I mean? I wish we knew what the definition of why they went to that and just didn't put another galvanized culvert in there.
Would this crossing be over 20 feet wide that we're talking about on New Bridge?
On width of the culvert or the length of the culvert?
It says, if the new crossing will be over 20 feet in width, then they want to know if you're going to plan on requesting from the Maine Department of Transportation to take responsibility for that structure.
No, that over there wouldn't be. And
That's what I
probably-
was wondering. I was just, any of these over, because it's,
Yeah,
That was probably the reason why they upped the,
Okay.
you know, I think of it, the width of that is probably why, because they were probably afraid up the Balch if we had a breach in the dam, because we have enough containment, and then with having that, such a large box culvert, that it would,
Maybe that's-
you know, we wouldn't lose the road. We may have some water over the road, but it would probably take, that's probably how they sized it. They probably sized on how much it would drop, the rate of drop it would be on that there. But if we ended up having to, going back to Newbridge Road, if you had to put a culvert in there, that would be, like I said, that would be up to, I would think, somebody from Inland Fisheries or
yeah.
a biologist to say, this is, like I said, we know there's trout in there, we know they spawn in there, and they're not gonna spawn going up a culvert. They're gonna want a gravel bottom and stuff there, so that's, you know, that's where we'd have to go. I think maybe we ought to think about getting hold of a Maine biologist department and have them come down and say, hey, this is what we've got. What's your recommendation?
Yeah, because they asked those questions at the top of one of these pages.
Our one may have a lot of that information too.
Yeah. Because I would think, like I said, they stock Wilson Lake, and they must have, I mean, there's gotta be some stocking that goes through the culvert up there on Young's Ridge and makes its way down through and eventually makes it into Horn Pond. That's what, I'm going by what some of the fishermen I've spoke to with and have said, that, you know, that they're very big thinking that they go from Wilson Lake to Horn Pond eventually and stuff there, but, so I think we need to look at get a biologist in there and see what they think, what their recommendation is.
Yeah.
And,
They used to catch smells in there.
yeah. Horn Pond?
Let's kind of look at them. It seems like
Oh,
it would
the
be the
eels?
same place.
Yeah, I think it's.
Oh, the suckers?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so, and the thing is if we got the main biologist in there, or biologist in there, whatever department it would fall under, get him in there, and if we have the history that, hey, this was here once before, you know, and that's what they wanna say, they wanna try to bring this habitat back.
Right.
And by putting, you know, saying, hey, let's put a gravel bottom culvert in, all natural bottom, and that's another thing to be able to sell it to them, and they might be able to help us with that. So, because we know we're gonna do something with the road, we're gonna do something with the runoff, and we're gonna do something with the culvert, so it's all gonna go together, so.
I don't know if you want to,
I'm not sure with that problem.
I just feel like they all kind of go together.
I'll look tomorrow and get what I can get from them.
Getting their power, and they gave everything back to the states. The town owned, Wilson Dam, and they own that stretch of property on both sides of the street, where it goes into Moss Pond. Now I'm talking, I don't remember if I was selling it, but, the town was selling it. I don't know how many people know that, but, the town, got that public service. And then we get the town, for the manage the level of the lake, like it goes through all.
research to do to see what the deeds read on that piece of property. Because if we were to do something, even though the culvert's already there, it'd be, you know, respectful to, you know, you'd have to do notification to the people, I would think the budding landowners of what's going on too, so, but who knows, the town may own that and they don't even realize that, so, you know. Yeah. Yeah, Tom, yeah.
And it would, yeah, all right, so, you know, that's another thing that we need to do is look at the tax maps to find out who, because I didn't even actually think about the abutters. How close, are there any houses close to that?
On New Bridge Road, there's a log cabin just before it, going towards the canal on the left-hand side. It's right, you know, it's right handy there, so.
Okay. That never occurred to me, so that's a good point, that, you know, that's another piece of research that we need to do.
When the road crew, 3-4 years ago, rebuilt that Wilson Pond there.
Yeah, yeah.
I would think it'd be kind of hard for the road crew to do it if the town didn't own it. I think somebody would.
So you'd have to get permission and all of that to,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah, and I completely, yeah.
If the town didn't own the dam, then we wouldn't be fixing it.
Right.
Like,
And then we have the scoring criteria for the proposed culvert crossing cost and budget information, which you sent me the one for H Road, right?
Yes.
We still have some work to do for New Bridge before we can even think about trying to price that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, when I was on that end of town there last fall there, we looked at it and it just, the weather came in so quick, there was nothing to do, and that section of road needs to be, it needs to be addressed, whether it's, you know, so whatever we do, it's just gonna be a Band-Aid, you know, to do what needs to be done on that road, and everything. So even if the town were to pull the trigger and the District 2 Road Commissioner were to pull the trigger and do a reclaim or something like that, you just pick up, you know, you stay off, you know, stay 100 feet away, 150 feet away from the culvert, 100 feet away from the culvert, and you do what you need to do, and,
Yeah.
you know.
And yeah, until we get all our ducks in a row as far as
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we think should
Yeah.
be, how we, you know, how the town wants to approach it.
When these are all filled out too, this is just a question I have. Each one of these culverts, are they their own separate application? Or do you,
Yes.
okay, so you don't have to lump them all, okay.
No,
Yeah.
and, you know, and the good part
Good.
is, a lot of our, once we start writing, a lot of it we can use for
Right.
all three.
Yeah, once you get your information
Change a
gathered.
little bit of, you know, a little bit of verbiage and
Right.
numbers. So, you know, and that was what, that kind of scared me at first too, and thinking it was like,
Yeah, it was,
how are we gonna write this for, you know,
Three
three or
different-
more?
right.
And then I realized that a lot of it
It should
can be used.
reuse, yep.
So, while it's still daunting, it once I realized that, it wasn't as bad.
Not quite as bad.
Yeah, it does, because it's a little overwhelming in looking at the
Yeah,
volume
I've looked at it a few
of
times. and-
information that they want and the amount of research
Right,
that is needed to be done, and.
in a short amount of time.
In a short amount of time. The good thing, though, is that only one portion of the money has been released. They're expecting to release more money in the fall.
Oh, okay. So that's,
So if we don't get it this time,
there's still a chance.
we still have another opportunity. And DEP was thinking that there was even going to be a third round, that he thought more money was going to be approved this coming year. So there seems to be a number of opportunities that we can try to take advantage of.
I think we could probably use all the help we can get at this point.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, so. And some of these questions too on this cost stuff, if, when we do the workshop with Prescott,
Yep.
we
We
can
can
ask those questions
Yeah, we
then
can-
when he's in.
Yeah, we can fill a lot of these in, and like you said, then it'll give us an idea.
Yeah. And that pretty much, now I have, I sent a email to DEP about a question Michelle had
Okay.
about what happens if they grant us this money and the town hasn't approved it?
Okay.
Are we on the hook or not?
Right.
I'm still waiting for that question to be posted,
Okay.
the answer to it. So, my thought is that if we don't come up with the money, you know, whatever money they had granted us would just go back to the state and they would give it to somebody else.
Okay.
That would make sense to me, but that,
But, right,
I don't have the confirmation that that's
Right.
accurate.
okay.
So, I think, what we need to do is go through, take some time, and I'm gonna take this home and fill out what I can, do research what I can. Cindy's gonna do some, research on the wildlife stuff. I know I've got some information from you, any technical stuff we need you to handle.
Yeah, yeah, because the two, the two on the District 1 side and then the one on the District 2 side, the Newbridge one, so West Shore Drive and Newbridge, that's a lot of habitat. We really fall into that category. Sitting here thinking, the H Road one, if for some reason if it never happened, we've seen the preliminary numbers, from E.J. Prescott on the slip line that. So you could actually take that out of your summer maintenance fund.
Right.
Once you get a plan, like I said, whatever happens, to make sure there's a plan, a maintenance plan, and eventually within a year or two, you could actually do that culvert, slip line that culvert and do it with summer maintenance money, or approach the town at town meeting and say, this is what we've got. This is the reason why, and allocate the funds that way. But those other two big ones, there's
Right.
a lot involved in reading more of this, and the impact, like Mr. Long said with the Wilson Lake and that dam, that both of those affect somebody one way or the other, so, which is kind of a blessing, because I think that might be able to help us out on getting some funds for Newbridge and for West Shore Drive,
Yep.
so.
Dave was talking about slip lining that culvert up on the H Road, and I would compare that to down at the bunkhouse pond.
Oh, yep,
You got the pond, and the other side you got the brook, and it runs all the way down through to, I guess, Loon Pond for it's
I
down.
would say so, yeah.
And we slip lined that one there, I'm gonna say probably 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And it's worked out very well down there. And it's the same type of thing. I mean, you do have fish in that pond, you got brook trout, but the way that's set up, fact is up here, it's set up better for the fish than this one down here, because you don't have an 8-foot drop from the pond. So there's really no way for the fish to get back up into the pond. But the other thing is, I have to comment about Dave. I know I've said this before, but he's been so helpful with the road committee and the selectmen. He tries to do his best he can do. He's short-term, and I'm just amazed at all the effort he puts into it. to make the town work a little better. And again, the other road commissioner hasn't come to a road committee meeting. So it's hard to make plans, and I'm not discounting what Dave is saying, but the critics have to understand that the road committee and Dave is trying to do what's best for the community, and people that can partake, if they don't want to, I guess they get what they get. With that being said, like the New Bridge Road, we haven't built any roads in this town. Geez, I can't remember the last time. It's probably in the 70s, or maybe the early 80s on the county road, I guess. The town and the selectmen, especially the selectmen, need to realize that all we've been doing all these years is just putting Band-Aids on these roads, and we haven't fixed any of the problems. I think the last problem we fixed was over on the county road when we straightened that road out. The New Bridge Road needs somebody to fix that road and fix it right. Just grinding it and redoing it or whatever is not going to fix that road, because you have to address the base of the road. And this is why the problem's up there, because the sand is washed out of the base with the rocks and this and that, and that's why you have all this problem. So I would discourage anybody from doing really any work on that road till we have somebody like an engineer or something to say, this is what you need to do to fix this road. And I'm talking the whole length right to the canal. And in the town needs to decide whether they want, what they want to do, because if this is going to cost $1 million to fix that road, then it has to be put out to the people. Do you want to get a bond for $1 million and fix this road and be done with it? The only roads that's been built in this town has been by the state. You see it right down here on the Sandbin Road. It was all rebuilt by the state down to Judy Shane's house. Then you see the difference in the road. You see it on Goose Pond Road. You see it on the Acton Ridge. You see it out here. And those roads have been pretty good, because most of that all you can do is resurface them. But I would discourage any amount of money really to speak of spent on that road until we really have a capital improvement plan for it. And so we fix it, and we fix it once and be done with it and get another 50
Doesn't
years out of it.
somebody want to be on the capital improvement committee that I mentioned?
Yes, I did say I
please.
would. You remember, Kim?
I
So
do
did
remember, I
Joyce,
got you.
so did Robin
Joyce.
Ham.
All right, so we're going to talk about that pretty soon. I know that's not what we're
I
here
mean,
for tonight, but, and Dennis, I would think along with, having an engineer plan for New Bridge, shouldn't we lump Hopper Road into that too?
Yes,
I'm just saying.
yes.
I
I
mean,
would
and
just,
that's-
I mean,
And
those are the
that
two,
should
I mean,
tie-
those are the
That
two.
should tie in with the Row Bridge,
Right,
yeah.
so,
I mean, and that's the
mean-
thing, is you could put 2 or 3 of these projects together, have them come in, have them do cores in the road, see what's in there. And as Dennis was saying, when he's talking about the rocks and everything right there at Horn Pond going north towards Canal,
Right.
they just filled it in. You got a swamp there, there's
Yep.
probably dunnage in there that, it was a rod road at one time. It was 16 and a half feet for a carriage to go back up over the back way. And they filled it full of rocks and did what they had to do. And as time has gone, the silt's worn out and we're down to cobblestone. So, saying that, I was approached last year when I took over at District 2, what can we do? And just so people know, I got a price here for 4,975 feet of road up there. So that would be from Young's Ridge, I would say, to the stop sign.
Which end of Young's Ridge?
excuse me, Youngs, at the beginning of New Bridge Road, right in that area, right there where the stop sign is.
Right,
They-
down by Wilson?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
at that intersection, Wilson,
Take
from
the
there,
left.
all the way up to the other side of the intersection on Youngs Ridge, which is, like I said, 4,975 feet, 22 feet in width, from FR Carroll last year when they had our bid. It was $20,740 to grind that road, to reclaim it. Okay, figured 2 inches of base at 1,400 ton, so total price was $116,878. Just to grind that road, to grind a road and put a 2-inch base on it. That isn't putting a 12.5 inch and a half surface on that. And that, you know, it's very expensive. Hot top right now is $20 more a ton than it was last year. A lot of towns are very surprised with the prices coming in, but liquid asphalt, which is a commodity on the stock market, which I've mentioned to people before, a lot of things that we buy are commodities. And as of Monday morning on the stock market, liquid asphalt was $540 a liquid ton. Last year it was $460 roughly. So that's how much it's gone up. And so we're gonna be very surprised, I think, when we go out for prices, and we're gonna have to find a way to really stretch some stuff out
Well,
to.
the problem is, Dave, and with the grinding, is a perfect example, St. Pedro. They ground that 9 years ago, 10 years ago, remember how bad that was? And it's not as bad as it was, but to me, if you're gonna spend some money on a road, you might as well do it and do it right. And just grinding it, I mean, our road ordinance calls for what, 4 or 6 inches of 3/4 crush, under on top of the surface before you can hot top it. And we don't have that anymore.
No, it's very expensive. It's very expensive to move dirt, and it's very expensive to put hot top on it, and
So
that's.
gross.
And
Yeah.
a lot of the
Yeah.
problem,
Yeah, so.
a lot of the problem is when the public thinks about roads, they think about winter maintenance, they think of snow removal, and, the snow's removed from the road really quick, and they do a great job. So everyone's doing a great job, but then we kind of forget the summer stuff that doesn't quite get taken care of, maybe, on a timely basis, or, well, I'm trying to be diplomatic, Dennis.
Some yes, some no.
Yes, so I mean, I threw that number, I had that in amongst my papers on one, just to
no,
let the people know that it's very expensive.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Dennis is right, I mean, we use what we have, and, it's a catch-22,
I mean,
you know?
and we need to have a plan to address all of this stuff, and we don't seem to have that, for whatever
maybe
reason. I mean,
on-
there's a lot of reasons that,
Yeah, and like
that's
Kim
the
said, just
case.
like we started it years ago with the fire department of always wanting to have a CIP program.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of catching on, and we really do, we need to start.
I'm hoping
putting-
on Tuesday, everybody who said yay tonight will say yay when it's brought up again. We'll bring it up again, and then, I know we're busy right now, but it's something that needs to get started.
I mean, and
It's
talking about
15
these
years
large
too late,
sums-
but we still need to do it. We need to get going on
You
it.
talk about these large sums of money, and, people go into shock when they realize how much money
Right.
that needs to actually be spent.
The people, most generally, if they're gonna see a return on what they're investing in, they'll go along with it. The problem is, you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, and things are getting worse.
Right.
They really are. What Mr. Langley has done this year, for virtually no money, has been phenomenal. The preventive maintenance is done, I guess, so that we don't have some of these problems. But that stuff hasn't been done. I mean, we haven't had the proper material put on the shoulders. Shoulders are all washed out everywhere. Shoulders that were put in a year ago, 2 years ago, are gone. I mean, that's just absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know if it out, have somebody like, the Shaw Brothers, or Pike, or somebody like that, come in and fix the roads, and then just have the road commissioners just maintain them? I mean, I don't know what the answer is, but I do know, from my time in this town, I started working on these roads back in 1972. And I'm telling you, we're going backwards.
Well, I also, in addressing what you said, Dennis, I would also like, on behalf of the road committee, thank Dave for the amount of time that he has put into the roads, the amount of time, I mean, anytime I've asked a question, he has gotten me the answer. He has probably spent hundreds of hours of his time trying to make the roads better, make the town a better place, and it's very much appreciated. Now, I had a chat with a neighbor this afternoon about, he was driving back from, he was driving down H Road, and he saw one of your vehicles out doing shoulder work and pulling sand and stuff up. So, you're taking the sand that had been dumped and whatever, you're bringing it back up, and this is what he was explaining to me. And, using that rather than going out and buying material. So you're saving the town money in doing that. Now, I had a neighbor just say, hey, I saw this, and we think that that's a great thing. So, I mean, people are seeing it,
Yeah.
and
And that's, and it's good that they see it, and the reason why I do it, and it's a liability. I'm on the hook. I'm on the hook as a town employee for $400,000 as an employee of the town of Acton under the Maine Tort Claim Clause. So if there's a motor vehicle accident, and Joe Bornstein can come out and take pictures of it and justify, geez, they overcorrected because they dropped off a 6-inch shoulder, I'm on the hook. And I'm not gonna be on the hook personally for $400,000 and have to go through it. I've sat across from these things there for my full-time job, and I've done it for the fire department, and it isn't a very good feeling. And until you sit across from a lawyer asking a bunch of questions and ask you the same question 10 minutes later, but that's part of the job. That's why, as you can see on the H Road, those were on the hills where there was turns, and the state of Maine said either you need to put chevron signs out there, put cones out there, barricades, but you need to eliminate the hazard, because you will lose in the court of law. So,
just so
and
you
that's-
know, that
Yep,
it
no.
was recognized.
No, and it's good, and I appreciate it, thank you.
I
mean,
wanted to let you
Yep.
know that, I had that conversation this afternoon with someone. So what you're doing is being seen and recognized and appreciated.
And we need to be proactive, and I do the same thing whether I'm doing this or I got my deputy fire chief hat on and I'm across the road. So,
Maybe we can use that for a reason if he wants. The $400,000 liability being on the hook. The truth of the matter is, he does it because he cares about the people of the town.
Absolutely.
And that's what he does with his volunteer stuff, of the fire department and the rescue. And I think next year we're gonna have a write-in campaign to make him the mayor of Acton.
Thanks a lot. So I know it's kind of off our agenda, but I met with Jerry Douglas yesterday. We rode all the roads on the north end of town. This was something I had set up months ago, right after, 3 weeks after he come down and did that workshop. I said, boy, Scott Mooney did an excellent job with paving on the District 1 roads. He was very aggressive, so we're where we need to be, but we need to maintain these roads and everything. And Cindy, you will love this. He said the same thing. You need to crack seal these roads.
Oh, thank you.
And
Thank you.
I have, look at this town of Acton, we're a municipality, so we fall under everything, the state of Maine, if you go into the contract, bidding contract in the state of Maine, we were eligible for all those. So I have 3 pages of seal coating companies the state of Maine uses. And if it's all right, Kim, I'd like to maybe let Cindy make some phone calls, because, and let's see who will come out when I say that, it's what they bidded for the state of Maine is what we're gonna get for the state of Maine price. It's just like buying cones and buying
Yeah.
signs and everything. We're part of the bidding process, so. So they're here, they start in Scarborough, and go all the way up into the county and everything there, so. And he did say that, Jerry said, you know, there's areas that need to crack seal these. And there's, like he said, there's two different types of crack seal. If you're gonna crack seal and pave a road in a year or so, that's the type of application you wanna have. There's different, materials of the crack sealing. But if you were gonna crack seal a road and wanna chip seal it, well, that's the crack seal you wanna use. We need to have a plan, again, of, okay, let's say the San Page Road, that was redone the last few years, if we were to seal coat that, we'd want them to crack seal it, but you want the crack seal that works with the chip seal.
Yep.
And then you want the seal coat, the crack sealing that would work with paving applications. So there's, learned a lot yesterday there too, so.
Oh, he's great. He
Yep,
has a
yep.
lot of information.
Yes, so, like I said, we looked at the roads and went around, and he did say that. He said, we're in very good shape, it's just we need to start doing some maintenance and stuff there. And if we can buy some time, buy 6 or 7, 8 years by sealing some of these roads up, start putting money into a CIP program, so
Right.
then we can go and start, we need to, as I said before, and at Warrant Finance, we're at that crossroad. We either need to take a right or a left and make sure we do the right and go. We've got to make a decision, we've got to keep moving forward, because the town keeps growing. As we know, our counters, our traffic counters, we know what we got for cars, and that was the thing he asked me yesterday. He says, how many cars are on this road? He said if if Allstate Paving would have come in and chip seal for us, that'd be the first thing he would ask.
Yeah.
What's your count is saying, so then he could build his performance bid for the proper application, whether it be a 3/4 inch drag shim and then a double chip seal. There's certain applications, but it's all related to the traffic counters, which
Yeah.
we've,
Makes sense.
it's very interesting and everything, but the technology's there, and like you said, that's how they figure this all out. It all has to do with what the vehicles that go over these, so.
That's right.
Yeah.
And what
Yep.
kind of traffic, the H
Exactly.
Road we have,
Yep.
they've
Yep.
started
And that's-
already.
And that's the other thing
Yeah.
that, with the information we have for the traffic counters that you guys redid, and we have them, do we still have that stuff from back in the 2000s when we did that?
When we did the traffic counts, yeah, and I can get that information to you.
So, well, what I'm saying is, let's say like the H Road culvert, we could show them what it was 15 years ago, and hopefully it's probably gone up.
See what the state has.
Yeah,
back,
but you know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
We could say, wow, geez, in 10 years, our traffic volume's gone up 200 cars per day.
Well, we can also pick up counters and put them out again,
Yeah.
if we question a road.
Yeah, if they would've, if they wanted to know what it was, there's.
Yeah, we can just go pick them up in Augusta and do that ourselves.
Yeah.
That's how we did it last time.
Yeah, but we have the information from the previous times of having those counters, so we
Yeah.
can use that for some of these culverts there for what we may want too, so on that DEP application, so.
Yeah, and look, at some of the roads, widen them enough to stripe them.
Yeah.
That's going to be a thing for H Road, and so, it's in the future, we've got to look to,
But
but,
we gotta get a CIP program first before we, so,
and streetlights
yeah,
too.
yeah, and everything, so like I said,
streetlights.
wanna just look at that if you want, but pass it on to Cindy, but those, I printed those out
Okay.
and everything, and then, and we will after, I'll print out some more stuff, but after July 1st, when we get our new budget numbers, whoever's in there in District
I
1,
am.
we're gonna have to buy some signs and
Can't
cones
speak
and.
for the other two. I don't know if,
Well, it's no sense for us
and,
doing any of the work
and that's,
with
I was gonna say, I mean, the road commissioner is asking you to do something, so I believe that
Yeah.
that's what you're here for. So,
That's what we thought.
yes.
Okay.
so,
Yeah.
You know,
Which-
I
yeah.
don't think, I don't.
All right, Dave, Dave has offered to have a,
Yes.
what was that company's name? Prescott?
So Reggie Conley, when she approached me, we found out we were gonna have applications for grants, and I rode back every morning going to work, looking on the H Road, how are we gonna do this? And I said, well, you know, this new technology, we do it, we slip line miles of sewer main, and we directionally bore water main, and I've done it on the mouse, so let's look at this new technology. So I happened to be at with Pete Coughlin from Maine DOT at a flagging class, me and Will there a couple weeks ago, and a couple of representatives from E.J. Prescott were there, and so I asked them some questions, and they put me in contact with Reggie Conley, which is a PPF, Plastic Pipe Fabrications, is a division of it. So he come out, met with William, they went and looked at both of those culverts and gave us some ideas. We do have a preliminary number for the H Road, a couple different options, and everything. So then I reached back out to him, and he's willing to come down and do a slideshow and a presentation, and these are the pros, these are the cons, and when you see the numbers that he gave us, I can't imagine why we wouldn't do it, you know.
I'll print that, I have the email, I just haven't printed it yet, so I
Okay.
will print that out for our next meeting.
All right.
So it'll be available, I can actually forward you the email so you can see it.
Okay,
All
great.
the selectmen.
All right, nice.
I was very surprised with the figures.
Yeah.
It was a lot lower than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
You know, I mean, especially on the H Road, I mean, we looked at it yesterday, we'd probably have to pull 300 feet of guide rail, so you're gonna have to have the guide rail company come back, pull this out, do that, and then if you were to conventionally dig that, then we're gonna truck that off somewheres, haul it back. I mean, there's just.
Yeah.
There's
I
gonna be
mean-
8 foot of dirt, of
Yeah.
soil on top of that culvert.
Yeah, I mean, and it isn't like, it'd be different if we had bumps in the road, you know, settling in that area of the then we say, well, gee, something around it ain't right, we gotta explore this and see what's going on. But it's nice and smooth, we've never had as high as that water's ever been on that bank, we've never had, you know, any issues where we've had to go back and shim that road a couple times. So, you know, I think that form of technology for that application with the wildlife and everything, and just not, I mean, just the paving and putting the guide rail back. I mean, you're gonna, you know, we're gonna eat up some thousands of dollars just to,
Right.
you know, guide rail company come in, take it down, put it back up, and everything, and like I said, I've been saying in this day and age, it's all about liability. Yeah, we could go out there and take that guide rail down, but somebody gets in an accident.
Right.
Right.
Who was the last one who touched this stuff? That's, you know,
exactly.
and that's what it's all about. It's, you know,
So-
you know, and stuff there, so. But yeah, give me a date, and,
I will, I'll send you some dates
Yeah.
that would work.
yeah,
And then, because I'd rather see it done sooner than later.
Yeah.
Especially with going through this, because I think that's gonna help us
Yeah.
complete these applications.
Mm-hmm.
So, I wanted to let, you know, everyone know that we're looking at doing that.
Just
Anything
let
else,
us know,
Dave?
because I'm sure Elise will go, you know, and if, I said, just let us know, you know, if you find some dates, because I'm sure Elise will want to go, and
Oh,
if
yeah.
I can, I will too,
Yeah.
so.
So, yeah, I talked to you about your schedule, so,
yeah, and, while we're here and everything, District 1 roads, the only thing we got left to do. Got a little bit of shoulder work to do up on the H Road from, on Acton Ridge going towards Balch Lake. We got a little washout area we gotta touch up, probably gonna get that later on in the week. The Garvin Road, I spoke to the owner that owns the backside of the orchard, kinda got a plan with him, with Caleb Chessie from Shapley, who does his excavating work. Take care of that runoff coming out of the orchard, because they're gonna be living there all the time, so. Gave him some ideas, put a swale in, do what needs to be done, but we're gonna go up there this weekend, pull them shoulders, get that road swept. And the only other two roads is, West Shore Drive and Willow Street, is to, get those swept up and cleaned up and everything, and we're good to go, for the summer months there and stuff. Me and Cindy looked at Hawk Road. I went in there the other day. I believe the language for the turnaround, the paperwork is all done.
I don't know if it's been done for Hawk. I'm not sure.
Because that
Because we have
turnaround.
them done for a couple of others.
Yeah, I mean, once you get off the town road, there's no place in there for us to turn a $500,000 fire truck around. We're gonna have to back them back out, or back into that other kind of fairly good road driveway. We do have, there are 1 or 2 signs that say do not turn in our driveways, and it's all mud. I mean, so, I believe,
I've given, you guys have got all the turnaround easements.
Yep,
I've
you
given
can-
like 3 different copies,
Yep.
so.
I
so
have
that's
copies of
something
them. I
that
got a
really
whole
needs to
folder at home.
be addressed, and in that there, I mean, that needs to be a nice turnaround, have it paved and stuff there, and hopefully that'll come out of this year's budget for the
Also,
new fiscal
too,
year.
I mean, if we want to make it easy for the residents that need to sign those turnaround easements, we wouldn't necessarily have to have them come in here, because I'm a notary, so because they do need to be notarized.
Okay.
So if you send 2 of us out with the paper, we can just meet the resident at their home and have them
Okay.
sign it. I
You're
can
gonna-
notarize it right then and there, and then that way, just to make things easy for
Easier,
people.
and, yeah.
It should
get it-
be, a letter from the town should go to them
Oh,
first.
yeah,
Okay.
You
absolutely.
could, that's why it went to you, that's why we
Oh,
brought everything
right,
to
'cause
you,
we send the letters,
Because you
yeah.
guys then should send the letter, then we can complete it.
Yeah,
Okay.
then,
All right.
make an appointment, we know that's convincient for everybody. I mean, it's.
But
I
you've
just did
got
my
everything
notary.
you need to do that, and
Yeah.
once you do the letter, we can finish.
All right.
Because that turnaround does need to be built.
That's the
and
one on
taken
Hawk
care
Road,
of.
you said?
Yes, right at the
Okay.
end there,
Yep.
so.
Turn around when the town accepted that, as I was telling David a while ago, was Redwood's driveway.
Okay,
That's where the town accepted, right to the edge of his driveway.
okay.
And then we used to turn back up with that trailer that was Redwood,
Okay.
back up in there, and wow, those were cross a lot smaller than, everything's different,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
So,
But then when the town did that, they took it, what, I think it's a 1/10 of a mile or something. The town accepted it, and that's right where we turned around.
so it'd be right there where the little brook is.
Back right into his driveway, right at the end of that driveway there.
Because we turn
Go
around,
around the corner,
yep,
and you got the trailer that's on the right,
yep.
and right where his driveway is, that's right where it stopped.
So we'd have to, we'd have to look at the language and, because the map that Cindy showed me from the state, when they measured it, it shows us going around the corner and around the corner to the right, and, yeah, I guess there is an old driveway or a road or something that goes up to the backside of the farm, right beside it looks like just a spring runoff type brook, right before that culvert. Is that what you're thinking? Okay, because that's where we turn around, that's where Pat Stevens has been turning around for years, when he plows that.
Yeah, that's why I turned around when I plowed it.
Yeah, and it's just, stuff there, so, yeah, so that's definitely gonna be on the radar to take care of it. And, we had a couple hazard trees up on the H Road, Abbott Hill was in today,
good.
and got those done. They were eventually gonna come down, and, my budget's very, very small, but we were able to find it.
Trees, good.
But then on the other hand, when I put my deputy fire chief hat on, we got a road that's blocked, we've got power lines that are down, the inconvenience of everybody else and stuff. So I just said, hey, let's get these 2 down and get rid of the hazard. They were both dead. They were standing dead trees. So we get those taken care of, finish cleaning stuff up tomorrow, and go from there. So stuff. So that's where we're at with District 1 and everything, and go from there.
Sounds
All right.
All right, so, any public comments? No? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second it.
Third.
All right, thank you, everyone.